What's up, folks? This probably won't be a rant. It'll be more likely a, can I put it? I don't know, man. Maybe a ramble. Hopefully, it won't be too long. It's just something really, really interesting that I've been seeing over the past, I say, couple of weeks, and maybe you guys can weigh in on it and articulate it for me because I don't get it. Shout out to Dr. Harlan Scott. I actually put a link to his channel into the description because he's going to have a live on tonight talking about what's next or asking what's next. And that question about what's next or what should 3.0 be, because 2.0 is coming to a close because a lot of your 2.0 guys are aging out. I've been aged out. I just happen to be part of 2.0. 2.0 has probably been around about approximately right around 10 years. So it's starting to come to a close as it should. And the young guys in Generation Z in 3.0 should take over and should get to be in the limelight. They should. But I keep hearing black men in this sector that's been around in this sector that listen to all these videos ask about what's next. And I'm wondering, I'm like, nigga, you can't see it? You think the black men are stuck in the same old thing continuously and you can't see it? I'll give three things about what's next, even though the reason that they can't see it is because they're really against it. And it's three things that I posted, brought attention to. And, I didn't cause it, but three things that I posted and brought attention to. Okay. First of all is the Generation Z picture, right? With the white girls and Latina girls or whatever they were in the prom picture that caused this big stir, which is admixture, which is moving away from the black women as this country pushes us to mix into this category called people of color. That's in motion. That's continuous. This is what's next. This is one of the things is what's next. The second thing, and I'm going to list them and then we go into detail, is the passport bros, the SYSBM passport bros. Black men going outside of the boundaries of not only their city and their county and even their particular social group, social society group, even going overseas or bringing in foreign brides. It's also what's next. That's accelerating because of COVID and remote work. That's becoming more available. That's part of what's next. And there's probably more that I'm not even counting. Okay. And the last thing, the third thing that's what's next, that's going to be on this particular talk. There's more, but the third thing is the Stacey Abrams things, where MSNBC mentioned Kevin Samuels, Tariq Nasheed, and basically the whole Black Manosphere. The followers of Tariq Nasheed and Kevin Samuels, which is the Black Manosphere. That political impact that we're getting ready to have, that's really what's next. Stacey Abrams even had to put out a black male political agenda, which is a copy of, not a copy of, but a bastardized version of Dr. Johnson's 14-point black male political agenda. Because black men, the Black Manosphere is making an impact on politics. That's what's next. Right in front of your eyes, right under your nose. And the reason that you don't notice it is because that's not what you want. Let's get into the first one. Let's get into the Generation Z and admixture that your sons are doing. Not you, but your sons, your nephews, your little cousins, that they're doing. They're picking different women for different reasons. They're picking the best woman available, which is what SYSBM is about. They're indifferent to race. They're indifferent to the social grouping that they've been put in. They're taking the best woman that is best for their mission, their life, their happiness, and they're putting that first, whether she's white, Latina, Asian, or even black. Black women get it fucked up. Black women say they hate black women. No, they don't. They like women that treat them better. And black women and black men are going in on this. Why? Because y'all want to stay locked into the same box. Y'all really love this dysfunctional, and I'm going to call it this dysfunctional culture because black culture, black ADOS culture is dysfunctional. Let's not get it twisted. We've looked at black ADOS culture up, down, and sideways, written books. Even pro-black folks have written books on it and how dysfunctional black ADOS culture actually is. It's dysfunctional. And we haven't done enough to actually straighten it out, and probably could never straighten it out. It's so embedded. The federal government has tried to straighten up and correct in its own image. Let's put it that way. They tried to make little white people out of black people. Didn't work. It's been trillions of dollars pouring it into the black community, just the way they did the Native Americans. The shit doesn't work. Our cultures are too opposite. But black men and black women are so in love with this dysfunctional culture, they refuse to give it up, even though they hate it. So that is what's next. The reason that you don't notice is what next, because you really don't want it. You don't really don't want it to go this direction. You really want to make black women act right and go back to where you were in the 1950s, just like fences. White men can't even get that. How are you going to get it? The environment is not the same. How are you going to get it? The black women never wanted it, even back when it was happening. They made a deal. They cut a deal. They made a contract. They took their roles and they made a life out of it. Black women were never happy with that life. They never were. Go back and look at it. Even go back and look at Rose in Fences. Rose was really never happy with that life. She would have rather have lived out her dreams, as black women say and feminists say. Let's go to the second one, because we're not going to be here forever. We're not going to be here 30, 40 minutes talking about this stuff. I'm not going to do a conversation with Mr. Z, okay, where I stay 2 hours talking, okay? I am not Edward and I'm not Mr. Z. Can I ramble? Sure. But can I talk like they can for 2 hours? I am not that guy. Let's talk about the second one, SYSBM in Passport Bros, right? Which is actually connected to the first one, to the Generation Z. Black men are tired of trying to make black women wives. The silent generation stopped producing wives with their daughters back in the 1960s and 70s. They just stopped. They stopped passing on that tradition. Why? Because the silent generation, black women, didn't like their position in the first place. What did they teach their daughters? Go to school, get a job. You don't need that guy. Provide for you and your babies. You want to have a job, have a house, have a life so you can provide for you and your babies regardless of what a man does, right? Because to them, and maybe rightfully so, I'm not going to say they were wrong, black men in this society were unreliable. Mostly it was not their fault. Black men could be killed. Black men could be put out of work. Black men could be put in jail. A whole host of other things that could happen to a black man. The marriage could fall apart. So the black community as a culture was always unstable because of outside forces. So black women, maybe rightfully so, got tired of the instability. I'm going to depend on myself, which is fine. It's fine. If you did it for those reasons, fine. The thing is, black women don't want to own up to it. So black women have been socialized not to be wives to a black man. I forget the name of the woman back in 1860, maybe 1850, 1856. She said it's better to be a concubine. It's better to be with a white man and a white woman than be the wife of a black man. I probably have to go back to Tommy Curry's paper and pull the quote. But for over 150 years, that has been the law of the land after emancipation. It's better for a black woman to be with somebody else than be a black man's wife. In fact, Frazier said the same thing. He said the same thing. He said, it's better to be a white man's concubine than be a nigger's wife. Cola Booth said the same thing back in the 2000s, right? It's better to be a white man's concubine than be the gum on the bottom of a black man's shoe. In other words, being a black man's wife was lower than being the gum on the bottom of a shoe. That's the way they saw it. That's the way they still see it. It's how come only 75% of them are married. Black women have the lowest marriage rate and the highest divorce rate. Go figure. That means they don't want to be wives to you. So black men, rightfully so, if they want a wife, they want a life, they want a family, they need to pick somebody from a more traditional society rather than this dysfunctional culture that they come out of. I'm black. My folks come from the South. I see the dysfunctional culture firsthand. Firsthand. Are there people that can correct it and actually get on the right course and actually steer their lives right? Sure. Man, there's a whole lot of landmines in between that. Crack era wasn't the first dysfunctional era in the black family. It wasn't. Okay. The whole migration was a dysfunctional move. Okay. So black men are deciding that they can't find what they want, a wife, a partner, quote unquote, well, partners aren't wives, a wife and a mate to actually start a family with and have a traditional happy family without all this dysfunctional pressure that comes with it. So they're deciding to date out, and not only date out inside the bounds of the United States, but date outside the country. In fact, leave this whole country altogether, which I have suggested that black men probably should do. There's a book called Leaving America where a black man decided it was better to be outside this dysfunctional culture that they're called ADOS in this racist country called the United States. It's not a new idea. That's the second thing that's in motion, and what's not only what's next, but what's happening next right now, but nobody pays attention to. Now, the last thing, which is newer, but should have been going on a long time ago, it really just started a couple of years ago. There was an inkling of it, but the black man and the black manosphere had not really weighed in until a couple of years ago. A lot of black men liked Trump because they were really anti-black women. Black women were anti-Trump, so black men said, guess what? Whoever she's against, I'm going to be for. There's a lot of that. And previous to the last election, it kind of crystallized with shout out to Fox Soul, the Fox Soul with the Queens, where Ice Cube came on with his black political agenda. And he laid it out to the T about how to move black people forward. And the first thing the black women cried out, what's in it for black women? Ice Cube being taken aback. He looked at them funny. He said, aren't black women black people? They said no. They wanted something separate for themselves. In other words, we are not with y'all. We are not with you Negroes, right? We want something with our name on it because we're separate. Immediately, all the scholars, all the policymakers in the black manosphere said, hey, if they want a separate deal, so do we. So from here on out, when they come to us, when a black politician or a black leaning politician comes to us, we're going to say, what's in it for black men? Regardless of what the black community is. What's in it? What's in the black man's interest that you can give us? That is the message to jour. That is the next move. Okay. 2 years later, guess what? Mayor's race in Los Angeles where black female needs black male votes. Black men said the same thing. Okay. Well, we're willing to give you votes. You're a black woman and all, but what's in it for black men? Well, I'm trying to do something for black people. No, what's in it for black men? This has become what they call the Ice Cube effect. Going back to the Fox Soul interview, Ice Cube I think Ice Cube got $100 million worth of donations from the NFL. It's not the $10 billion that Goldman Sachs gave black women, but $100 million from the NFL. I think he got another $100 million. I'm not quite sure which. Might have been from another entity. But the thing is, Ice Cube has gotten donations, has gotten movement because the Manosphere got behind Ice Cube and said, yeah, what's in it for black men? And now we got this thing with Stacey Abrams running for governor. And the host saying that black men are basically the followers of Kevin Samuels and the followers of Tariq Nasheed should get in line and vote for the Democrats instead of voting against their oppressors or voting for their oppressors or lining up with their oppressors. And we should be good little Negroes and vote the way black women vote. And black men are saying simply, what's in it for us? Roland Martin, I have to give him credit. And I don't know how true what he's saying is, but he said it. He said it to Hillary Clinton. You don't have a black male interest in this election. You don't have a black male representative. You don't have a black male avatar. Now, I know what he's saying. You should have at least give some kind of avatar, some kind of representation to black men, and maybe they'll vote for you. Or maybe they won't feel ignored instead of getting actual policies. But he acknowledged that you can't ignore black men and think that black men are automatically going to follow black women, which we have. And my mentor said it. He said maybe they think if they get the black woman, they'll automatically get the black men because the black man's going to follow black women. And for the most part, we have been shamed and guilted into going along with whoever black women vote for and ignoring our own self-interest. But au contraire, no more. Black men do have interests that do not align always with black women. No, it should, but it doesn't. Black women have put their interests and their dreams and their ambitions before us. In fact, they've thrown us under the bus. They have used us as step stools to get to the next level. And I think black men are tired of being used as step stools. Black men have always been used as step stools for the elevation of black women. Black men have quit school early in the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade to work for the family so that the black woman could actually go on and get her education instead of being married off to some dude. Black men have worked 10, 12, 16 hours to support a family and died early to support a family. But it never has been bestowed upon the next generation of black men. That's how come 70, 80% of your valedictorians in black high schools are female, always have been. 60, 70% of your college graduates or people going to college as black people are female. Most of the grants, loans, and programs for higher education go to black female. Black female have never said that was unfair, that was unjust. They would rather take up the cause of a lesbian, a queer, a trans than their own black men. Goddamn shame. But that's what's next. The political, social, and emotional independence of black men is what's next. And what's getting in the way is what I call, I'm not even calling them Sambos, the derogatory term, because they call male-leaning women, black women, mammies. I don't have no word or term. Well, as we call them simps. You guys are becoming simps for the black female. Calling yourself alpha, but you have calling you simps for the black female cause. And the stuff that's outside of black female cause, you guys are actually voting for it. You guys couldn't wait until black women got in trouble, put on your cape, and go back and purple pill them. Obsidian's doing that now. Obsidian couldn't wait to dust off the cape and put on the blue simp shoes. Couldn't wait. But this is what's next. This unjust system of oppression that have been upon black men forever, locking us up, cops messing with us, baby mama putting us on child support. Black men go to prison and go to jail for non-support more than any other group. They're the poorest of the group, and they're the ones that are most oppressed in this system as far as child support. Black men get custody of their children the least. Black men, and this is a survey was done. I'll see if I can actually pull it up and find it again. Survey was done at the average. I do believe the average paternity fraud in the survey of these these paternity clinics, paternity test clinics. The average was 29% paternity fraud. Okay, for black men, it's 41% going towards half. How many places at the bottom do black men have to occupy before we decide that we've had enough, that we want our own independent voice because nobody will speak for us? Cynthia G said black men need to build their own community. Black men need to do things for themselves. It's time. Black male independence is what's necessary. Marry out if necessary. Leave this country if necessary. Have your own political voice is absolutely necessary. That's what's next. That's what's new. That's what's next. That is the question. It's happening right now in front of in front of your face and under your noses. But you guys refuse to acknowledge it, and that's the problem. That's the problem that I see. But with that, I'm out of here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.